what still needs to be done? When can you start delivering units? And when do closings start?
Delivering in about a month. Of course, they're dealing with the city of Chicago to get everything done there and make sure we can get our certificate of occupancy. We've got 180 units we're delivering, so they're pushing hard. Like if you look, you probably just saw there's dozens and dozens of workers in this building right now everywhere. So we're getting real close to it. It's just a matter of weeks basically at this point.
All right. What's under contract right now, and do you see that a lot of those people are going to be staying on, going to be able to make it to the closing table?
It's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell in this market. We've got a little over half sold right now. A lot of people, we've had a couple of pre-closing events with potential buyers. We've had good turnout at those, so a lot of people have expressed interest in definitely staying in the deals, and I know that's been an issue with a lot of the high-rises in some of the other projects in the city, but I think we've actually timed it really well too, because we got the FHA financing going on now, and the guidelines for financing in general have lightened up a little bit. So by the time we're ready to deliver here in the next month or so, I think we're going to have a lot better closing ratio than most of the buildings down here. And frankly, and we've got a lot of people that have, from the original contract, $10,000 or so in upgrades is about average. So we've got a lot of people that are actually moving into the building and not a lot of investors, which is a big difference.
All right. Yeah, kind of I'm going to throw the tough question out there for you. It would be, say I'm a buyer who kind of keeps an eye on the market, trying to find a good time to jump in for the best deal for me. Keeping an eye on the South Loop, and what I've seen this year is an auction at Vetro. I see 2 auctions coming up this weekend, one at a high-rise and another at a loft development. And I see here a new construction development that is going to be delivering its first units in late 2009, early 2010. Yep. And if I have a good credit score, if I've got money for a down payment, I'm maybe smelling blood in the water a little bit and saying, I expect somebody to play ball with me in terms of getting the best deal for me, because South Loop is filled with buildings with unsold condos in it. Why, when I walk away from Terrazio, am I going to feel like this is going to be the place where I'm going to sign on the dotted line?
That's a very good question. Well, first of all, I think it's a phenomenal time to buy in general. Getting back to the earlier part of the question, historically low rates, good inventory levels out there. I think we're going to look back in a couple years from now and go, wow, what a phenomenal opportunity in Chicago that we didn't have for decades and we may not have again in decades. So as far as the market in general goes, if you're thinking about jumping in, you're going to kick yourself in the butt if you don't do it now in a couple of years, especially with the tax credit being extended now. In regards to the Terrazio, I like the fact that the product is different in so many ways than so many other products in the area. You've got a phenomenal developer in Sedgwick Properties, which has been doing this for a long time. They build a very unique project, very low assessments. So it makes us competitive, not only right now when you buy up front, but resale when you go to sell someday. As far as the offers go and where things are going at, and I think you were talking about smelling blood, we're certainly negotiable. Right now we have a $25,000 incentive on most of our 2 bedrooms and all of our 3 bedrooms. So, it just depends. We take one deal at a time, and we're serious about the buyers that are serious with us. And, if people want to be in our buildings, we do everything we can possibly do to make that happen.
Mike, you've worked with Sedgwick Properties before. I know that they're still marketing the last remaining stock over at Marquis, which is their high-rise over on Michigan Avenue. What can you tell us about the developer and sort of your history working with them, and what buyers should know about that developer?
I'm glad you asked that, because it's a very good question, especially in this market. There's a lot of developers that are kind of, not in the game anymore, that were phenomenal developers at one point. Sedgwick has been phenomenal for us for a lot of different reasons. They're the most organized and thorough developer that I've ever represented. And a lot of it has to do with their corporate structure, because they're very different than most of the developers that are out there. And they're pretty large, but they have a separate department for everything. For example, on your punch list, which is the list, like you move in, you've always got some items that you need to take care of. You've got one contact for that. Where a lot of developers, you got to call this guy or a project manager here or there, when that's really not their job.
Yeah.
So you really don't get a lot of attention. You've got one guy, like at Marquee, it's Roger. You call Roger, he takes care of it. He is the liaison between you and the developer. That's just one example. Maria, who I mentioned before, does the design work. They have an actual on-staff designer. Hardly anybody has that. But it shows because she helps design the units with the architect Mark McKinney, and she helps do the models like this. And I mean, we end up with a phenomenal product because they take the extra time and hire the right people to do these jobs. Besides that, I think it's really important to note that Sedgwick is a very financially sound company. I mean, the Marquee now was their biggest project recently, until this will start to deliver. And frankly, some of it's luck, I'll be honest with you, because the Marquee, a lot of the closings happened before the real estate market really started to go down.
Mm-hmm.
That property's almost sold out now. They've got a handful of units left, something like that. And I'm not on that one anymore, so I don't know exactly. But and then now the Terrazio is starting to deliver. Financing's starting to loosen up. We've got great incentives from the government. Things are starting to come back. So part of it is some luck with some timing, but they're also an extremely capable company that I really think we've got the best product in the South Loop, and it's just because they've been doing this so long.